Welcome to the Obase Diary, and also welcome to the maiden edition of our Relationship and Family series. In this series, we're going to be talking about several issues that bothers around the family, which includes the family dynamics, parenting, building healthy relationship, personal growth and self-care, and lots more. So you have to stay tuned and get engaged in our discussions. Also, for today, we're going to be treating our first topic on the family dynamic series, which includes what are generational cycles and why do they really matter. So my husband, Ambrose, I call him Honor. So it's out of place for me to call him Ambrose. Honor is going to be talking delay on the topic, and I'll be interfering at some point. So over to you, Honor.
Okay, so please, we would like you to do one thing for us. Engage us. We don't have monopoly of wisdom. Engage us in the comment section and send us topics you think are very necessary to deal with on this platform. Like, comment, share, invite people that would benefit from this program. We want to be doing this as part of our contributions to societal engagement as it relates to family. So please don't leave us dry.
Yeah, I want to also comment here. The family is an integral part of the society. Where you have a healthy family, you're going to have a healthy society. So we are working towards building a healthy family. We're starting our influence and impact from where we are. Thank you.
Yeah, so the most important questions we are going to be asking today is, what is a generational cycle? I want to ask us this question. Looking at our children, well, what do you think we could describe as a generational cycle?
Okay.
First of all, I want to make a true confession.
Yeah.
I'm one person who doesn't know how to celebrate things. I may be praying, fasting, hustling, juggling, connecting just to get one thing. And when that thing happens, my greatest celebration will just be to just smile and enter my closet and say, thank you, Jesus. And if you were on that journey with me and you see me just behave like, you say, what's wrong with this guy? So is he not excited? Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Now, why am I saying this? I see this in my daughter. Praise doesn't know how to celebrate anything, no matter how big. Highest, you just say, yay! You look at this girl, she has moved on.
Yeah, one thing I also noticed is not putting importance to things or putting emotions to things. Personally, I'm one person, I could just look at something and I move over it. And I observe that my kids are like that. They could be expecting something for a long time, it gets across to them, and they're just like, after the first week, it's like old story. So what next? I think that's one of those it's a generational cycle for me to have observed about myself that I'm seeing in my children. So for us, we're looking at how can we break this cycle so it doesn't, when you meet a spouse or you meet some persons in the society, they begin to see you as being an ungrateful person. Yeah.
So what is a generational cycle? Now, in its simplest form of definition, it is what one generation passes on to the next generation. Generational cycle is anything. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be positive, it could be negative, that moves from one generation to another in a single family. So, why we are saying this, I expect you to be looking at yourself and be asking yourself, what is a generational cycle for me? What have I taken from my parents, and what have my kids taken from me? And it also gives us an opportunity to also look at ourselves and ask ourselves, what am I exhibiting right now that I don't want to pass on to the next generation? You have to, if you identify such, you have to fight hard to break it before it starts transferring. Because a generational cycle are those ingredients or elements in a family that defines the family. Sadly, these things define. Have you ever traveled to the village and somebody looks at you, probably the way you speak, the way you behave or something, and say, are you Moka's son or grandson? And you say, how did this man get to know me? And you are surprised that probably he used one voodoo something to know. He didn't use anything. You just portrayed an element of what it means to be a Moka Simple. So now, what you have to ask yourself, whether to be proud or to be ashamed of yourself, is this thing positive or negative? Is it a good trait or a bad trait? So that's what generational cycle is about. So it could be an habit, a simple habit developed by either parent that has been formed into a major characteristics of what defines that person.
Yeah.
And over the years, it begins to transfer it to the children. There are some family, the kids smoke simply because their father smokes. Almost everybody in the family find it easy not to even fight it when they begin to encounter it from peer. After all, it's something we do in our house. So even if I have not started and my friends are introducing me to it, it's a normal thing. There will be no reason to fight smoking simply because they have seen their father smoke over the years. And also for the girls, they have seen their mother smoke over the years.
Okay, I want to come in, Honor. Talking about generational cycle, you said you have positive cycles and you also have negative circles. So let's look at the positive circles, for example. You find that, like, for example, in a family, let's use, for example, the Fela's family. They are known for their freedom fighters with their music. I find that pass it down to great grandchildren. I think they already have great grandchildren. They're into music. So
yeah.
Is that a positive?
Yeah.
Now,
it's a positive trait.
Also, looking at the George Bush family, they've had antecedents of being president in their family, and we also in Canada we have the Trudeaus. The Trudeau, we had their father being a prime minister. We have their child also being a prime minister. They are gone into leadership traits in the family.
Yeah. By the way, the Trudeau just resigned recently as the prime minister of Canada. So you know.
Yeah. So
so we now, she just talked about the positive traits. You can keep counting on and on. The Trump family is there. Business mogul. Yes, Trump is a president today, but he's more known in the business world than in the political circle, right? So now let's look at the negative traits. Some negative traits that we may not know. So why we're actually dealing on this topic is some of these things, so that we know what is happening in our lives, what we are passing to our next generation, so that when we begin to see some things creeping up or raising their heads in our family, whether positive or negative, we begin to understand where they are coming from. Now let's look at some negative aspects. For example, domestic violence could be a negative cycle in a family. When a son grows up to see his father punching his mother always, he thinks that is how to humble a woman. So he begins to exhibit that element, not knowing that is a negative trait that defines him in a negative way. So I've also used smoking, for example. Stealing also could be something that is very, very connected to some families. Some families have this element of stealing, that once somebody says, who is that person? Say, I say, oh, that is it. They start telling the history of how their grandfather was caught stealing matches, stories like that. And let's not begin to look for big things. This generational cycle is simply a behavior, an attitude, a characteristics that begin to move. Sometimes the way you gesture could be a trait that came from your family.
Yeah.
Sometimes the way you argue, it could be something that came from your family. Sometimes the way you want to be the boss at all time, bossing people around, could be
Sorry, I want to come in. Like what my husband keeps saying. Say, this thing is in your family. I've observed it in your mom. I've observed it in your younger sister. I've observed it in your brother. I've observed it in you. He keeps saying that when you want to make any decision, irrespective of what any other person says, what is on your mind, that's what you do. I think it's a trait. It could be positive and it could be negative at some point. So sometimes our decision making skills sometimes could be positive or it could be negative. But he finds it like that we are being strong on it, and he noticed that in our family. So I think that is one of the traits he also has picked out for my own family. Yeah.
So that's it. Like for me, one positive trait in my family is that my great grandfather was a community advocate. He was someone that sacrificed his entire family, not just his life, to save his family from a tyrant king who was killing everybody. And his son continued in that step, even after they have rescued the family. His grandson continued, and my grandfather also continued. My grandfather is known not just in his community, is known in most communities in Delta State. Not one who carried plenty money, but one who parades plenty of wisdom and advocacy for humanity. Leadership, a top-notch. I keep saying I've only seen 2 African men in my entire life, and my grandfather is one of them. Pet Edochie is one of them. People who have these strong, masculine African traits that few of us who managed to venture into reading history have seen. We have read. We only read them. And I've only seen 2 of them, Chief Peter Ikomerito Idolo and Pet Edochie. This, funny enough, both of them have Peter in their names. So now, and that thing really has continued. His sons, not just one this time, his sons are doing this thing in their little way. And somehow, as much as I try to fight it sometimes, because after helping people, when I need help, I don't always see somebody standing for me. I was like, I'm not doing this thing again, but no matter how much I fight it, that's my life. And my kid, my son, the school, even back in Nigeria, have told me, this is what your son does. He's the advocate for everybody. You don't oppress anybody around them. Then he was just, how old? I think 3.
3 years.
Now, here in Canada, the teachers have also reached out to say, hey, your son is the advocate of the class. So you don't intimidate anybody where he
and
is.
He's the kindest.
And he's, of course, that boy is the kindest.
When he was in Justin Excel, he won the kindest and the most caring boy in his class. He was barely 2 or 3 years then. Yeah, and here also, he also got an award for the most kindest, or rather the kindest young child in the class. Yeah,
so it's a trait that no matter how much we try to run away from it, is there. Advocating for people, advocating for society. It's a positive one. We also have some negative ones. Yeah. So we will judge those ones by ourselves.
Don't don't watch our dirty leaders in public.
So guys, what are yours? Let's hear the positive ones, and the negative ones, please trash them. You can trash them behind
but you can also drop them so you can work. Yes. It's something you want to work upon.
Yeah. And so today we are going to end it here. I believe we've been able to deal extensively by defining what generational cycles is about. So the next video we'll be talking about what is a cycle breaker. That's the next topic. So this is where we are going to be talking about people who have been able to identify negative cycles in their lives and have been able to take steps to break them. And how do these people behave? When you see them in society, when these people are behaving, you may not like them, but if you know their history, where they are coming from, you will hail them, because these are people who have taken bold steps to do things that are almost impossible. So we're going to be talking about this in our next video.
Yeah, I also want to talk about it. Sometimes talking about generational cycles, it can also be informed by trauma.
Yeah.
And before you know, you're already in the circle and all. Yeah. So let's, like we said,
like some families in those days, like if you've heard in Africa what they call the Osu caste.
Yeah.
Yeah, so these people have seen a kind of segregation, humiliation, societal oppressions here and there. So they build these shells within themselves and build the survival mindset. And if you watch where anybody that have a survival mindset is a rugged person. Is somebody who will do anything to survive. And these things have its negative aspects, also its positive aspects. So this becomes the attitude they begin to pass down, because even in their words to their children, you hear them telling their children, look, don't let anything pull you down, be ready to, if anything stands your way, crush. And make sure you get to the other side. So these things, they come with trauma, they come with a mindset, they come with character, attitude, behaviors. So we are going to deal extensively with this topic. So let's not flog it. So watch out for our next video. Please, what will really give us strength and courage,
encouragement
to do this thing is your help. Your like, your shares, your comment. Where you disagree with us, tell us. Don't keep it to yourself. But please be kind in your words, because, like I said, we are not monopoly of wisdom in any way. We are not claiming to know it more than anybody, but we are just finding out things that people need to deal with, and they're bringing it out for us to debate about. Share this video, invite friends to engage us on these topics. We are going to have long range of engagement as far as this is concerned.
Thank you so much. You could drop your personal messages if you want to talk to Honor. You could drop your messages in the DM and he's going to treat your questions or your issues. He's an experienced counselor in this area, so feel free and feel comfortable talking to a professional. Thank you.
Thank you. God bless you. You can visit our YouTube channel to get the extensive parts of all these discussions. God bless you.